Please don't kill me, save my life, please please please. Udoka's voice echoed through the quiet night, his screams piercing the darkness. He thrashed about, his body drenched in sweat, as if he was running for his life. Suddenly, he jolted awake, his heart racing like a wild animal. He was scared, his mind foggy from the vivid dream. He turned to his wife, Yugon, who was sleeping peacefully beside him. Yugon, wake up. He whispered urgently, shaking her gently. Yugon stirred, rubbing her eyes. What's wrong, my love? She asked, concern etched on her face. Udoka took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. I had a dream, a terrible dream. A masquerade was chasing me with a cutlass, and they caught me. He shuddered at the memory. Yugon's expression turned serious. She knew that dreams were believed to be omens in their village. Let us pray to the gods for protection, she said, throwing off the covers. Together, they got out of bed and began to pray, seeking the protection of their ancestors and the gods of the land. They begged for safety from any danger that might come their way. As they finished their prayers, the first light of dawn crept into the sky. The villagers of Nkoroma began to stir, starting their daily routines. Udoka and Yugon prepared for another day on the farm, but Udoka's heart still lingered on the ominous dream. Let's go, Yugon said, nudging him gently. We have a long day ahead. Udoka nodded, but his mind kept wandering back to the masquerade and the cutlass. He couldn't shake off the feeling of impending doom. As Udoka and Yugon walked towards the farm, they passed by the ancient shrine of Akpoko, the village deity revered for its protective powers. But what they saw made their blood run cold. A thick, eerie smoke enveloped the shrine, shrouding it in an otherworldly mist. The air was heavy with an unnatural silence, as if the very presence of Akpoko was being suffocated. Udoka and Yugon exchanged a terrified glance. They had never seen anything like this before. The shrine, which had stood for 5 centuries, was always serene and peaceful, radiating a sense of safety and protection. But now, it seemed as if something was amiss. The smoke seemed to be growing thicker, swirling around the shrine like a living entity. Akpoko, what's happening? Yugon whispered, her voice trembling. Udoka's eyes were fixed on the shrine, his mind racing with worst-case scenarios. I don't know, but I don't like it. Let's get out of here, now. They rushed back to their house, their minds reeling with fear and uncertainty. They couldn't shake off the feeling of dread that lingered long after they left the shrine. Later that day, the village was abuzz with the news of 3 dead bodies found at the Akpoko shrine. The villagers gathered in small groups, whispering among themselves, trying to make sense of the gruesome discovery. But many refused to believe that Akpoko, their revered deity, could be responsible for such a heinous act. It's the work of our enemies, they said. They must have killed those people and dumped them at the shrine to discredit Akpoko. The villagers were in denial, unable to accept that their protector could turn against them. They had always believed that Akpoko was a benevolent deity, watching over them with kindness and care. Udoka and Yugon, however, knew what they saw. They remembered the eerie smoke and the ominous message carried by the wind. They couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. As the sun began to go down, the villagers gathered at the town square, seeking answers and reassurance. But the questions lingered, and the fear grew. What was happening to their beloved Akpoko? And who was behind the gruesome murders? The uncertainty hung in the air like a dark cloud, threatening to unleash a storm. As the days turned into weeks, the village of Nkoroma was gripped by a sense of dread and confusion. The death toll continued to rise, with more bodies discovered every morning at the Akpoko shrine. The villagers were baffled by the eerie pattern. Why were the bodies always found at the shrine? And who or what was behind the killings? The once peaceful village was now a hotbed of fear and suspicion. People began to whisper among themselves, pointing fingers and accusing one another of being behind the sinister events. Udoka and Yugon, who had first witnessed the strange occurrence at the shrine, were now shunned by the community. They were seen as harbingers of doom, and their warnings were dismissed as mere superstition. The village elders, desperate for answers, consulted the oracle and performed rituals to appease Akpoko. But the killings continued, with no end in sight. One morning, a group of villagers decided to keep vigil at the shrine, determined to catch the perpetrator in the act. But as they watched, they saw nothing but the eerie smoke swirling around the shrine, as if Akpoko itself was shrouded in secrecy. The next morning, 3 more bodies were found, their faces twisted in terror. The villagers were now convinced that something was terribly wrong with Akpoko. But what? And how could they stop the killings? The questions hung in the air, as the village teetered on the brink of chaos. This is a story from Megastar J. Unique Oracle. Watch out for Chapter 2. Please share, comment and like for the next chapter.